What's up, Indies? Welcome to today's audit session. I'm Corrin Campbell, co-founder of Indiepreneur and your leader with no fear today. How's everyone doing? Sorry, I was late, guys. If you haven't heard, I was on tour in the UK last month. This is my first live since coming back. And I be struggling getting everything back the way I know how things work. So, but I'm stoked to be here and be looking at your assets today. If you're new here, an audit session is where we scan through everyone's landing pages, their ads, their videos, their emails, right? All of these different things, and let you know what we think. Because, that's you can never have too many opinions about what you're doing. But hopefully what I can do is help you streamline some of the stuff that you've built, give you positive feedback, maybe give you some constructive feedback as well to do something good, right? And to help you achieve your goals. So that's what an audit session is for. Now, we do take questions. If you are on our INDIESLIVE watch page, that's where you're going to want to be to put in any links for your audits, because you can't put links in the YouTube chat, which I know is kind of a pain. But so you'll want to go below this video on the watch page and put your comments in the Facebook plugin below. So if you have questions that aren't related to an audit of something that you have set up right now, I will be skipping them until the end. Since this is an audit session, we're going to prioritize audits, but if we have time, I'd be happy to answer your questions. And don't worry, I will give you those extra 5 minutes at the end since I'm late. So, really stoked to see you guys. Hey, Shane, Glenda Ray and the Essentials. I know that band name. And Katie Thompson, good old Katie. One of our indie founders. Killing it. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead, and the way that I usually do this is I will put the comments plugin on my screen, because I don't know if you're like me, but when I'm reading things kind of to myself, I tend to read through it really quick and run over it, right? And like not really articulate what I'm reading. So I'm going to put it up so that you can see the question in case it's also relevant to you. So let me go ahead and share my screen so that you can see it. Great. There we are. So first up is Jeff Hewitt. Hey, Corrin, hope you're well. I've got a problem with my opt-in page. I'm generating a ton of warm traffic to the page, 10 cents per link click at the moment, which is great, but I'm not getting any signups. The page is here. I posted in the group for advice, but a lot of the feedback was GDPR related, which is sadly something you can't do anything about. You've tried changing the sign-up incentive on the page, hence the free CD offer at the moment, and the copy on the page several times to no avail. It's also saying that the ad has already had a ton of warm clicks regardless of the incentive offer. All right. Any advice you can offer would be much appreciated. Also, I won't be at the session. No problem, Jeff. So I'm going to reply real quick. I like doing this. Sometimes I have to hack it a little bit, but I like to reply and let people know, hey, Jeff, I started answering your question around the 4-minute mark. There you go. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Jeff in the future. All right, so let's go ahead and click through and look at Jeff's landing page here. Now, this is a sign up for opt-ins. So this is always a challenge, right? It's almost harder to do for some people than to sell. And that's because you have to make sure that you have some incentive that is really, really cool. So the first thing is that I like this font up here. It's very easy to read, which is great. I'll send you a free CD of secret songs. And I'll send you a form to get your postal address once you've signed up below. Okay, so this is a physical CD, a free physical CD. Because that's kind of, I would put that kind of in the forefront, because I don't totally understand if it's physical, and I know you're probably going to explain it further below, but if it's an actual CD, I know it says I'll send you, but now people think send is email. So I will put this in the post or the mail or whatever the verbiage is where you are. So I think that that's actually a really great incentive. So, one thing I am noticing is that above the fold, you don't have anything already. So those warm clicks, in theory, they don't need to read all this. If they're well warmed, they're going to be like, yeah, whatever you're doing, I want in. So it's always a good just rule of thumb to always have something above the fold. And when we say above the fold, it means above where I have to scroll to. See, and there you are. But especially on mobile, right? If we shrink this down, that's a long way to scroll for some people. They're going to get stuck reading all of this copy. And then there's these songs. They're going to get distracted by that, right? So not to say that you shouldn't have this information there. That's obviously, something that is good for people who maybe aren't sure. But for the people who are sure, put something up in the top here so that they can just be like, yeah, I'm in. Totally into it. Okay. And so then you're saying, as a member of my club, you'll get to hear all the new releases. All right. So I know I'm just like kind of tearing you up here, but member of the club kind of communicates that they're like really signing up for something. So if it's, if you have like an actual membership, like a Patreon or a membership on your site, that's one thing. But if you're just saying like, a member of the family, right? If it's more like, oh, you're in my circle now, right? You might want to clarify this so that it doesn't sound like something that is, I'm going to sell you on being a member, or that's something you're going to buy, right? Right now, if I were, and I don't know anything about you, what you're selling with this page is, right? I would think, oh, he's going to send me an email of songs, but he's probably going to charge me, almost like it's, what's that? Jesse, what's that old CD thing where you get like 12 CDs for the price of one? Columbia House, right? It's like Columbia House is going to send me 12 CDs for $1, but then I'm a member of a club. There's a commitment that's required after that. That's like in the fine print. So anyway, that is my 2 cents on that. It might come off to new people or to people who aren't well introduced to this idea yet that you're going to send me a download and that there's an obligation after I do that. So that might be something right off the bat. All right. So that said, exclusively before anyone else, that's great verbiage, always. Interactive experience with other tea breakers. Right now, you also get a free download of my latest album, A Song in 7 Days, as a thank you for becoming part of my musical family. See, and that verbiage there, I'm down with. So, but I don't know if these two things are the same, right? So that said, I think it'd be good. Let me shrink this down to mobile again. This bold, you can see that like the letting and tracking on some of this, you've got like justified tracking here. And the lines are very close together. And that's true on mobile and when it's a little bit bigger. I mean, once it starts to shrink down, it gets more jagged with the space. That's called tracking and letting. So the space between and the space between words and then the space between lines. So that might be a little dense considering how much bold text you have. That's really nitpicking. I'm really just trying to give you some feedback there, but especially because the bold like goes across lines in all of these situations, I'd either like put a little enter in here and, break those bolds up a little bit so that they're all on one line. Otherwise, it's just making the text kind of like side heavy and making it a little difficult to read. Now, like I said, that's not why no one's opting in. It's just some feedback. All right. So if you'd like the rest of A Song in 7 Days with all of the above, it only takes a minute to join the club. Yep. So sign up today with your name and email. That club is still throwing me a little bit. But otherwise, I think that you've got a nice, clean situation here. I think it'd be better to put A Song in 7 Days. So I know you've got the Tea Break Club here, but that's also a thing that seems like a sell, which I don't know if it is. Maybe it is. But I think that if you kind of explain like this, A Song in 7 Days, that's a thing. And then the Tea Break Club is a thing. So I would make this more centric about a song in 7 days and explaining what it is and why that's beneficial. There's so many things packed into this this paragraph right here that I'm not totally sure what's happening. And then moving the opt-in above there. So I like this picture view. Very charming. If this is that GDPR thing you're referencing, I those aren't typically a huge problem. That's a really minor tweak. Okay, and now you're going into the tea break club, which is great, but they might not even get here, right? Now, if you wanted to, you could make like this more about the A Song in 7 Days campaign, and then say something about, you'll also be able to, you'll also be a part of my tea break club, to see more, scroll below. Or you can even put what's called an anchor link, where you set the anchor here, and up here you could be like, yeah, for example, if it was sitting here, if to learn more about the Tea Break Club, click here, and then it'll scroll them down here. So, all right. So yeah, I think the rest of this is all good. You're obviously explaining like, hey, this is the permission. You can unsubscribe, right? That's so minor down there that I don't think it really matters. I would put another opt-in right here. Just always kind of breaking up that content with the opt-in. And like a short snippet of the offer. Even if you just did hashtag A Song in 7 Days, enter your email here. So let me read through this real quick so that I can understand what I'm looking at. All right. If you sign up for the mailing list, you get a weekly digest on Monday morning around the time you'll be having a tea break. See, this is really cool. Yeah, I like that. I got a brand new EP if you sign up. Yeah, I think the tea break club, and I'm just going to put my email in here. And don't be sad if I unsubscribe right away, but I still just want to see what I get sent here. I am a human indeed. Okay. Go to your inbox. There's something headed your way. What is this pixel telling me? Page view, complete registration. Great. So you've got a complete registration conversion running. Are you currently running for clicks or for conversions? You might want to test that. If you optimize for complete registrations, you might get some different results. If you optimize for clicks, basically Facebook's going to feed that ad to whoever clicks on things, which is why you might be getting a lot of warm clicks. Now, if you're afraid like, oh, well, I can't optimize because I'm not getting at least 50 a week, which is a valid concern, you still might want to just try it. Right? Just give it a test. See what happens. I'm going to check my inbox real quick and see what happened with that. I don't want y'all looking at my email. Let me move this. So, I've got that email. All right. I'm going to bring it over for everybody to see. All right. Join the Tea Break Club. Yeah, it totally feels like you're selling me on paying you something. So I don't know if it's the club or even the fact that you say join in the confirmation email, join the tea break club after somebody's already opted in. That kind of description. I see I got another one here. This is cool. I like this. This background might be a little HTML heavy. It makes this a little hard to read, but yeah, lots of long copy in here. I see you've got your whitelist stuff, Facebook group. Great. Yeah, so I think for me, as someone who's not, currently a fan of your stuff and hasn't really gone through the process of getting to know you, this totally feels like you're trying to sell me something. Now, I can't say for sure that your people feel that way, and maybe you've already explained it to them, but I think, you could either change the verbiage up here, right? Make those little adjustments we're talking about with the boldness and the tracking and the leading, but also it could be cool if like you split this column in half around here, right, and put a little inset video explaining what that stuff is, and then putting like an opt-in right here and then a bunch of text. So that's kind of what I'm envisioning. So basically, let me kind of illustrate it because so if you put a video here, right? And then put an opt-in form right here, right at the top, so that people who know you can go right into it. And then the text could, kind of start here, but then go underneath the video and extend there. And then put in your previews and then put this description and then have another opt-in. That's what I would recommend. So, and you are tracking conversions, so that's good. I did, get to check out your stuff there. So that's my 2 cents there. The other thing that can always impact signups is how effective the ad is. So I know you said you've already done some moving around with that, but trying video, trying photo, trying different placements, trying different copy. We're now able to do dynamic creative at the ad set level, which is really cool. So that might be something that you want to try, where it's trying different placements, different copy, different creative, and can optimize for you. So if you aren't trying that yet, I highly recommend it because it definitely, I've seen some very surprising results come out of that, where it's not at all the copy or creative that we thought would work, and then it does. So that's my 2 cents about that. I hope that's helpful, Jeff. All right, so back to our question. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, there's Jeffrey. Yes, a free physical CD. Appreciate the criticism. It isn't a club in the Patreon sense. It's just the name of the list. Exactly. A countdown to the release of the EP could help. But, I think that there's a timeliness thing that is a psychological thing. But I think that when you're talking about, I don't know. I don't use countdowns. I don't think I think they work for some audiences. So test it, right? I don't know what you built that in. Unfortunately, I didn't look at the source code. If it's ClickFunnels, you can do an A to B split test. And actually, a lot of different web builders will let you do an A to B split test. You can even do a manual A to B split test by putting the link in one ad and a different link in the other, right? And sending it to the same, sending it to different landing pages, but sending them both to the same confirmation page. So you can even kind of hack your own A to B split test. So try it, see if that changes anything. But I think the position of the opt-in and the clarity of the offer is the biggest things that I'm seeing on those pages. The only issue you have with the complete registration thing is that if people don't accept the cookies, then it doesn't register by default. Yeah, totally. And, it's just like when you're trying to sell tickets to a venue that uses Ticketfly or TicketWeb, right? Like you just got to find the ways that you can work around the mandates, and there's certain things that you can't change. I don't recommend that you do something else and get out of compliance because that risk just isn't worth it. So you're doing the right thing. I know it's frustrating, but I do think that you should continue on with that and instead just try to be a little more clear about the offer and making sure that people know that the club is just like, even if you say at the beginning, like, hey, my family, we all call ourselves the Tea Break Club because of this, kind of some of the stuff that you've got below, in a really short way, really succinct summation kind of way. But then people aren't going to be like, oh, you want me to sign up for a club, right? As a paid thing. All right, so moving on to Brett. Hi, Corrin. I see Jeff's comments, and my problem is similar. It seems email opt-ins are hard to come by for me. We have a great response from our fan finder videos, and I reply to everyone with this album launch. Email opt-ins we send to 75% have had disappointing response. I know it's hard to comment without seeing everything, but I'll post 2 versions of the album launch page. I think you may have seen it. And the second one, which is running presently, is my attempt at making it less demanding, more friendly. Okay. Before I get into this, I do want to state that we have seen a lot of success with ManyChat JSON ads and then gathering emails from that messenger. Messenger has obviously become limited because we can't broadcast the same way that we used to. We can't just send messages to people whenever we want. They've put a hard stop on a lot of anything that's promotional, which doesn't mean just sales and discounts, right? For musicians, like when people say promote your music, there's a lot of things that you do that aren't sales that is promoting your music, right? So if you're sending people to a video, if you're sending people to a page for an exclusive download, all of those things could be interpreted as promotional, which puts your account at risk from being banned from sending messages in the future, which sucks. It doesn't mean that you will, and it, I think for smaller accounts, as long as you don't have a lot of flags from the users, it's not, it's not as likely to happen, but it's the same thing. Being compliant and not running that risk is probably better. So for anyone who's having opt-in problems, we've seen it work very well, where you have ManyChat that's managing your JSON flow. You set up a JSON, which is basically a click to send message ad, right? And they click on that, and then immediately ManyChat is asking for their email. And then you use Zapier to get that over to your email automation, and it goes on. And we've seen that working at the agency level, and even within other indies, they're getting email opt-ins for 60 cents, right? Which is cheaper than we even have ever seen, or not cheaper than we've ever seen, but very, very, very cheap, and cheaper than the median from straight up landing page opt-ins. So I know that's kind of weird. We've also seen some people who are running retargeting. So they're running people to their opt-in page, but people who don't opt in, then they follow up with a messenger because it's lower commitment. So it might like get them motivated and bump them up to the next level, right? So that's always something, it's always a pivot that I recommend trying if you're having trouble getting opt-ins, because messenger doesn't feel as high commitment, and it doesn't really require them to consume as much of a decision. So either as a retargeting or trying it straight up. So I just wanted to make sure to put that out there, because that is that's been successful for a lot of indies. All right, so I'm going to check out your landing pages. And since you're here, I'm not going to put the timestamp in here. So make note. Make your own note. All right, so claim your backstage pass. All right, cool. All right, so this is all very legible. We talked about gradients last time, didn't we, Brett? I feel like we did. And I feel like we did, and then you fixed it. So I'm pretty sure that was you. Okay, this looks good. I'm going to listen to this real quick. I'm not going to listen to the whole thing. Yeah, I like the imagery mixing in with the singing, right? Going along with the track, but then also you talking between. Yeah. I mean, I'm listening at 2x right now, but I can tell I like it. I like this. I think it's possible that it might be getting the message a little too slowly to them, where it takes them a while to actually like figure out like, oh, you know, there's a message here. It's not just like a music video. But that said, that could be depending on your audience. If your audience tends to be a little bit of an older demographic, they're probably fine. Younger ones are like, what's the point? What's the point? So kind of look at your demographics and see. If they're older, they probably have an attention span more than 2 seconds. So you'll be able to still talk to them here. So here's those gradient buttons, Brett. Remember when I said we want to make these buttons look the same, right? We want them to be like, okay, this is what it looks like when I'm saying yes, right? Which is why for a lot of people will put like a big green button or big red button, and then it'll be a big red button 5 times, big green button 5 times, right? Maybe you just haven't gotten to this button yet. Not trying to call you out, but get that out of there. Get these buttons to look the same and get that gradient out of there. All right, so this tour, yep, here's more of that gradient. You silly goose. We talked about these gradients, Brett. I totally remember this now. Oh my gosh. The other thing too, I would put your quotes in italics, but take the rest of this out of italics. All right, so, but your problem isn't these little nitpicky details on your page, right? Your problem is that you're not getting opt-ins. I feel like this icon is making everything off, right? Like it's putting everything off center. It's just a visual thing. Get your exclusive online pass to the making of our album 6 Degrees. And then you've got this other one here. Oh, what a pretty picture. Okay, lots of hearts. I see what you're saying, how it's more friendly. But look at how you've unified these buttons. I like it. I like it. So I'm assuming this is the second one that's more friendly because of all the heart emojis. So, let's learn about the band. Okay. Gotcha. And like the green button is kind of like, this is the end. So that's fine. I don't hate that. Yeah. So I would take some of this text out of italics, right? But really it's coming down to your offer. So, let me look back and revisit your question. So the fan finder has a link to the opt-in page. Is that a wise thing to do? If it's the first thing that they've ever heard from you, that is not a wise thing to do. Because they're still getting a feel, right? And it looks like an ad. So if you revisit in Fan Finder, we talk about call to action buttons on Fan Finder in the introduction stage. It doesn't mean that they totally suck, right? Sometimes it works and you might get one or two people that click through on it. But it can sometimes distract them from the fact that, oh, this is a thing I enjoy and I'm just going to relish in the enjoyment of it. Instead, they're like, oh, there's a thing down here and I'm going to click and I'm not even going to finish the video because there's this thing, and then they don't like it after all. And right, it gets complicated. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily recommend a call to action button, especially because then you're missing an opportunity to explain to them what they're clicking on. And it's the same thing I was talking about with Jeff, where it's like you need to have an opt-in like at the top, right? Like right at the top. And you've got your buttons at the top, right? But you haven't had an opportunity to necessarily, if it's on your fan finder and it's the first thing they're seeing, they don't have an opportunity to consider what the invitation's for, right? They don't even know if they totally love you yet. Like they're just getting exposed to you and now you're asking them for something. You're offering something, but you're asking them to take an action. So that's something that I would consider, that you might want to run a fan finder, and then that your secondary ad, your opt-in ad, is kind of explaining what you're doing. And so a lot of times that what I've seen successful is that, especially if the video is like a lyric video or something that isn't distinctly, Glenda's face or your face, right? I'll see them take a chunk of their fan finder video and to kind of refresh people's memory just for a few seconds, and then launch into, hey, we're doing this really cool thing. We want you to be a part of it. It's super exclusive. We're not, doing this ever again or whatever. And at that point, then they're like, oh, okay. Now I recognize what this is. I know where I am, right? On the map. I'm aware of my position. And now I can make a decision at this fork in the road to go left or right. So that's one thing I would recommend there. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with your question here. I guess I'm never going to shut up. I may have to publish. Would it be silly to have the call to action button guide a person directly into the funnel without email commitment? So is the funnel in ManyChat? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Let me know what you mean. Have the call to action button guide a person directly into the funnel. Oh, are you saying like day 1, day 2 of your funnel? Yeah, you want more warming, not less. So, especially I think with your style of music and what I'm guessing is your demo, you probably want to give them more information, but then still get that email commitment, right? Just put more things between where they are as a total stranger and where you want them to be when they give you their email. We put a ton of work into the content itself. It seems a waste not to have more people at least see it. Yeah, I feel you. Could I not offer email opt-ins into our community during the funnel itself? I get what you're saying. Like sending things specifically to people. I mean, you totally could. You could totally put teaser posts and boost them to your new warmth using the Greenlight warmth boosting, which is in a ground report. If you haven't checked it out yet, you could totally put content in there and then, figure out something else to gather their email on these content pages instead of trying to make sales, right? That's something you could pivot to. But I totally understand what you're saying about like, I made all this content for this launch and now nobody's going to even see it because they're not going to put their emails in. That's another place where the ManyChat situation might be good. Because once they click on a JSON, you've got 24 hours to have whatever conversation you want. So you could even send them, if they did a JSON, and without collecting their email, be like, okay, here's day 1, and then, set a delay of 10 minutes, and then send them another message and say, hey, we've got 6 more days of this. Do you want to see it? And if they say yes, then get their email, right? Then you've given them kind of a picture of what they're signing up for. So that's another way that you could try to pivot. We pivot a lot. We try to change up how we offer, the method of offer, all the time. So, play around with some of those variables. I think you can probably find something that would work for you. And could I not at least track the people inside with pixel activity and repost them? Yeah, absolutely. As soon as somebody goes onto your website with the pixel, you've got them for 180 days in your Greenlight Warmth audience. So that's totally viable. I would just ensure that whatever this content is, make it somewhere besides your Facebook page. Don't just post it to your Facebook page, right? But as long as it's on your site, it's I'll stop, honest, really, I'm gone. Yeah, just try to find ways to get people more information. Obviously, they need more information because they're not opting in. So figure out a way to get them more information, right? Messenger, website, all of that stuff. But try to have that. It's like we always talk about, right? And Cirque posted it on the YouTube channel I think last week. The one concept we have to understand is the return path. So as long as you are doing something that is keeping them kind of moving up, and you've got a return path to keep pushing them further into the buddy system, you're good, right? So feel free to sway from the formula of Ultimate Album Launch. Use that as a very wide template, and then negotiate and navigate within it, right? Because I can tell that you're getting this stuff. You understand it. So figure out a different way to do the same thing. All right. Cool. All right. We're here with Evan. Okay. I'm going to tell Evan. It's so funny, too, because when you're live streaming, YouTube isn't great about telling you how long you've been live. It just tells you that you are live. Okay. Around the 33-minute mark. Hey, Evan. I'm starting your questions around the 33-minute mark. And I even wrote you a song about it. Okay. So, hi, Corrin. I'm looking for some headline feedback for my upcoming... Oh, you guys can't totally see the page because I'm in front of it. All right. I'm looking for some headline feedback for my upcoming Fan Finder video. I'm open to new ideas or just critiques on what I have already. It was shot with a 360 camera. Fancy. So it has a few crazy angles throughout to make use of that tech. I dig it. All right. I'm going to read through these a little bit. There's parents. I wish you could smell this Kevin's Rich Mahogany. My friends thought this sounded like John Mayer. I disagree. I like this one. Here's the thing. I have the unique capability or perspective, right, of being able to read your copy before I even see the video, right? Which is what happens in real life. People see your copy before they really see the video, and before they decide to scroll on beyond the video. So it's hard to do that when you're the artist yourself, right? And especially if your friends or family don't understand marketing, they may be able to give you some layman's perspective. But yeah, so this is a fun thing for me. I think that this is something that's like, oh yeah, I'll judge for that, right? Wait for the crazy zooms. I think that's cool. I think if you change this for wait for it and then put like an emoji that might reflect zooms, right? So like a camera or, some kind of, I don't know. I'm trying to think about emojis, but wait for it is a little bit more enticing because wait for the crazy zooms. I'll decide if I like zooms or not, right? Have you seen a 360 video before? I put music video, but that might be cool. Even my songs about arguments turn out happy. I like that, but only because it resonates with me, because mine, same. Sometimes, or opposite. My happy songs sound like I'm really ticked. This song is for when their parents hate you, but you like them anyways. Love shouldn't be this stressful. I like that one. Come for the vocals, stay for the bass face. I like that. But also, I sing and play bass, so that resonates with me. So let me check out your video now. Let me speed this up just so I can. Whoa, that's trippy. Yeah, dude, that's a moment. I think it's crazy that you can actually zoom out with that perspective and then come in and see a totally normal perspective. Jesse, you want to see?
I do.
Jesse's like lingering. You can check it out. You're fine. You're not even in the shot.
Cool.
It's a little bit, yeah, see, that's the view. Oh, you missed it, buddy. You missed it. All right. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Here, I'll show you the one that was at the beginning. Don't mind Jesse, guys. He's just hanging out, being a weirdo.
Ooh. Whoa. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think that's really cool. You know, it's interesting, Evan, because like when I'm watching this, I'm like, this is wild, and but it doesn't feel that way at the beginning at all, right? It feels totally static. I wonder what would happen if you put like maybe just like 5 seconds of your normal stuff, like fade in the song, right? Because you got a 4-minute video here. You could totally take, when does that first, that happens at like 40 seconds. So if you started at like 30 instead, right? Faded it in. And it started around here, right? Faded in. And then you've got a few seconds where they can make a decision on it if they like it. And then they see this zoom right away. That is what we call a pattern interrupt, my friend. That's perfect. So this is really cool. Yeah, that's what I would do. I would totally cut off the first 30 seconds. Like I said, you've got a 4-minute video here. So fade that audio in, fade from black into this image. Give them 5 or 10 seconds of just the song, especially if you're using the John Mayer thing or if you have the wait for it, those headlines. And then it does that within the first, 5 to 10 seconds. The music's still going, right? But it's an interest point. I was totally interested right from the moment. So that's what I would say about that, Evan. And I don't think you're here, but I think it's very cool what you've done. Even Jesse, who was over my shoulder, if you didn't see him, he was like, oh, that's, he's like, I've never seen something like that before. That's exactly the kind of moment you want. So be proud of yourself. Those are my recommendations. I didn't stay for the bass face, but I'll go back and revisit. I just want to make sure everybody gets their questions answered. So good job, Evan. All right, on to Shane. My wife is a singer-songwriter, session vocalist, live event performer. We used to own a web development, graphic design, internet marketing consultancy business for about 8 years. Wow. Having said that, I've decided to go full-time into her business and handle everything I can, short of the actual singing. Also, although we have experience within elements of marketing and development of online assets, we greatly value outside opinions from professionals, so thank you in advance for reviewing the information below. I just started with the Indepreneur marketing modules yesterday, so I do not have any specific ads or newsletters, email landing pages. Got it. Would like you to review the following. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick buzz on these because I'm suddenly becoming very aware of the time. And Shane, I don't see you in the comments, so I'm going to go ahead and get my time here. All right. All right. So let's take a look. Oh, she's so pretty. inspirational music, travel music videos. Yeah, this is a great image. I love with singer-songwriters or solo artists, like eye contact right at the top. That's great. Always is great. Oh, Shane is here. Awesome. Cool. So, you're on Patreon. It's great. I'm just going to check this out real quick because I'm interested. But that's the thing. Why am I interested? Because you had this awesome thumbnail when I scrolled down to it. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm just going to do this. And then I realize, oh, that's the way it's going to strike other people too. So already I think this is cool. The design is obviously, you know what you're doing. I love the gradient here. I love this kind of like wave format you've got going on. You've got your email. I would actually, so sometimes what I think about, and if you're not totally familiar with our training, you're probably not that familiar with the buddy system yet, but it's basically like the progression of things, right? So what I like here is that you've got the music at the top, right? Because that's the lowest commitment. Once they get to your site, that's the lowest commitment thing they can do. So I personally would, I like that these are available, but because you have the menu up top and you have these three things, there's a lot of places for me to go. So I think that you could leave this here, right? Because if you're like booking, if you have people that you're sending here for session work, that kind of stuff, then they can get right to where they're trying to go. But otherwise, the rest of this is a user experience. So if they know you, they're going to go into this menu. If they don't know you, the rest of this page is basically a sales page in my mind, in the progression of commitment level. So the first thing is like, oh, here's music. Easy, right? And then you've got Patreon, which is, in our buddy system, that's like step 5 or 6. That's what we call a ascension level. So that is, and it's ascension 2, really, which is like usually we're looking for membership after we get their email, after we have their maybe first purchase, right? And then we have higher level, higher ticket, or even just higher commitment, right? Even if you've got like $1 a month version. So I would put the email above the Patreon, personally. I would put an email, and then I would put like maybe some merch, right? And then put the Patreon. So that way, like, just the general fan, they can be like, oh, I'm already on the mailing list. And they go to the next thing and like, oh, she's got this great merch. And then if they already have merch, like, oh, she has a Patreon. So it's kind of a discovery process depending on how deep they want to go. There's a depth, a literal depth to your webpage, right? So I like testimonial stuff. I don't know if I personally would put it on the homepage, but since you are, selling session vocals, I can see why you're doing that. That totally makes sense. And then, cool, you've got this little contact box here. I mean, yeah, so obviously, like I said, you know what you're doing. The site looks clean. It's beautiful. I'm going to just click on this real quick to see where that takes me. Okay, so that goes to your media page. You've got YouTube videos in here, which is great. iTunes, Spotify. Okay, yeah. There's a lot on here. Oh, so this, I'm guessing this is a consistent footer. So if I go to session vocals. Yeah. Yeah, I like that that's a consistent footer. That you're giving people a chance. Now, does this also feed to your mailing list? Because obviously, I know that there are a lot of websites that have contact blocks, and you've got session vocals in here, and you've got fandom. So it might be good to either keep the contact form just to session vocalist stuff, maybe make the footer for your session page like a contact box, and maybe make this footer smaller for the stuff that would be for fandom, right? Because when they get to the bottom, they're like, oh yeah, I did mean to sign up for that. But overall, I mean, this is beautiful. This is a beautiful site, obviously done very purposefully. So yeah, I think that's great. All right, now I'm going to look at your EPK here. All right, so we've got Audrey Callahan, Audrey Music. All right. Shows played over 100, biggest crowd 300. Beautiful. Okay. You've got your short bio, long bio, artist photos, got it. These are great pictures. yeah, this is, it's nice, smooth. I mean, for an EPK, this is definitely the kind of stuff that you would want to include. So that looks good to me. And EPKs are so I don't even really, as long as they look beautiful, I don't really criticize EPKs because, it's totally, I mean, it's obviously clearly branded, right? It's got the information that a booking person or, talent management or anything like that's going to be interested in. Other than that, it's really just making sure there's plenty of information. I think the information you have at the top is the stuff that they want to know. So I think that looks good. So, and then, wow, you've got all of this conferences and retreats. Is awesome. Seminars, conventions. So does she speak as well? Is she good at speaking commitments? Because, yep, you've got Empower here. That's great. It's really because, not every artist is good at that stuff. But I love the vibe here. It's just, your color scheme's great. Looks like this might be kind of off from what you were trying to do. Or maybe you want that, if just a tiny, tiny thing. If this is going to be offset, I would offset this a little outside the box so that it looks more purposeful, kind of like you've got it here. So, and obviously that probably changes. Oh, it's more even. Yeah, it looks like this block just ended up a little long, but I like this pop animation that you've got happening there. Yeah. And you've got some, testimonials, which is great, and an entirely different chat box for this booking for seminars and events and things, which is I'm thinking exactly this on the session vocals page as well. That's kind of my 2 cents there. And making everything else about the site more of a fan kind of outreach, because really most of the people who end up on your site are going to be people who are fans if she's got an artist persona, which it looks like that is the motivation. So yeah, that I think that's really cool. The social media pages in the EPK is you wanted me to review. Got it. So let me take a look. Oh my gosh, I'm so behind on these questions, you guys. Oh yeah, you even said that right here. My bad. All right. Looking. So, social links and stats. Great. So, Facebook. So, I'm going to prioritize, Shane, the things that I can kind of look more at, right? Because Twitter and YouTube don't really give us a ton of insight into who's retweeting or who's interacting. I love that you did a Halloween makeup thing. Especially because, you did Coraline. She's got blue hair. I love it. I'm a little biased, but all right, this is cool. I would consider obviously this is an event flyer that was made by the event. It'd be cool if you had some graphics when you post ticket links that don't have all this text in it, so that you can actually advertise it, because Facebook will dock you for having that much, and a lot of this isn't legible. Like I said, I know this was probably created by the event, and it may even be an agreement that you have to use this imagery and this creative. But in the future, you might want to do stuff that is, I love this so much, that is more like in Audrey's brand versus in the event brand. So this is cool. All right, awesome. And you've got view products. Yeah, you've got everything integrated, right? You've got your shop in here. You've got cool video, email list, Patreon. Yeah, this all looks really, really good. What are our engagement rates here? Yeah, so we could probably, if you wanted a little shortcut, I would suggest going to the ground report section and going to Greenlight Warmth Boosting. It's the easiest way to start running some ads before you have a ton of content for an album launch or want to run a fan finder. It's the easiest way to just warm up the people who are already on your page and are already engaging with the things that you are posting. I don't know if you boosted this, but the engagement on this is wicked, right? I love that. So, but I think Greenlight Warmth Boosting is probably good. I have a consistent boost that I put on all my posts. I'm not really posting lately because I'm on a little bit of a hiatus, and my fans know that. But I basically run a boost all the time, and run the same content to my Facebook, Instagram, and site engagement constantly. And it's running at like a low budget, and it just constantly runs until the frequency reaches over 2. So that might be something you want to integrate into this page while you're getting the rest of your assets together for advertising, because it'll at least keep that audience warm and make sure that nobody falls out. Once they engage, you got them forever. So, and it looks like the Instagram link is broken. Okay, yeah, so it's because there's a space in it. So you see that? It says Audrey_music instead of Audrey music, all one word. So just a heads up on that. Instagram, more of this Halloween stuff. Love it. All right, so we've got about 7,000 followers here. Pretty good engagement rates. This is something Greenlight Worth Boosting also goes over. Obviously, videos get more views than photos get interactions. Yeah, I can tell it's pretty on brand. You have some outdoor stuff. You love your dog, pretty girl. Yeah, this is, you're doing things on purpose here, right? Intentionally. So yeah, I would run some Greenlight Worth Boosting on your existing Instagram posts just to make sure that your people keep seeing it. Story. Oh, it's going to make me log in, so I'm not going to do that right now. But yeah, overall, looks great. I'm going to go back and look at your comments. The Halloween video is boosted. Yeah, I mean, and it was also catchy just in and of itself, which is great. All right. Justin is asking a non-audit. So Justin, if we have time, I'll come back to you. I don't think we will. I love you, but I'm going to have to skip you for now. Katie's here. It feels like years since a new founder. Looks like your tour went well. Here's where I'm at. Okay. I'm skimming. Girl, these are questions. I love you. Can you post these in the Indie Founder group? Because I just want to make sure that everyone who posted audits is getting audits. And I know you showed up, and I'm sorry. But post them in the Founder group, and you're allowed to tag me this time. And I will totally get back to you on those. All right. Norman, about to put an opt-in for my new album. In some ways, it's a hard sell. Old guy makes album about mature stuff. Whatever, Norman. You got your audience too. Everyone does. There are guys just like you who are going to appreciate exactly what you're doing, even if they're not musicians, right? So don't short sell yourself. Sell yourself short. Short sell. Whatever order it is. Creative license. All right, so here's your landing page. Got it. I'm on rapid fire mode now. I spent too much time on Glenda, but I love Glenda Ray in the Essentials. All right, so 5 objects, 10 objects. Is it 5 or is it 10? I like that because now I'm going to read it. So that's actually like kind of genius, Norman. Like 5, it's 10. Did he make a mistake? Oh, he didn't. It's a different thing. Awesome. Here's what you get. Cool. I want to look at something real quick. Just looking at a little bit of your stuff here. Okay, so you're using Open Sans. I would that's very legible. I think something that could go really well with your custom font here, that would be very legible still, is like Playfair Display, is a font that is usually available in most development tools, or Railway, which is RALEWAA, WAY, spelling. Because this comes off a little bit cookie cutter just because it's Open Sans, right? So that's a recommendation there. I would make this button like full width, like unabashed button, right? So that no matter what, it's the full width of whatever device they're on. So whether it's mobile, whether it's tablet or computer, it's just like bam, red, unapologetic button. The other thing too is if you wanna, you could match the button red to your actual image red. If you Google you can Google hex from picture, or whatever, and you'll find several sites where it's free. You just upload that album, and then you can take a little eyedropper to get that exact red, and then you can use that red for your buttons, and then they just match, because I'm like, this is orange. I love you got a countdown here. Great. Okay, we've got some social proof. More social proof. I think it'd be cool if you put this above this testimonial stuff and put this here and make it more my last album preview, like something that's a little less generic, something that's more I don't know where like this is 5 objects. First came the name of this project, whatever you called your last album preview, right? And then in minor text, put what people said about my last album preview or whatever. Something like that, right? Where it's like, oh, we're getting into storytelling. I think that would be cool, instead of, just like kind of saying like what people said about my last one. So it still explain that. But I think if you had like a header title that was like, first came this, now comes this, what people said about my last one, so that people kind of know like, oh, we're referencing the same thing that's going through now, but last iteration. All right. And then you've got a nice musical video there. Yeah, this looks good. I think it's clean. I would just make this text of a little more interest. Maybe make this button wider, change the color, and then change this story and move it above this part. But other than that, I think this looks really, really good. 13 November, you got a week. Are you running yet? You might want to push this date. 13 November is really quick to get enough opt-ins to make this worth it. Now, you can continue running this past, the release date. But, every time we see an artist going evergreen, we definitely, it's hard to keep the energy up for every new person that comes into the funnel. So sometimes it's better to delay something by a week so that you can get more people. Also, if you wait a week-ish, if you push this about a week, you can make your sales offer around the Black Friday time, which is when people are shopping for things. Just 2 cents on that. So, but yeah, otherwise I think this looks good. I don't mind this darker red up here, even though you've got a bright red here. I think the buttons, you could either go with this red that's in your header or the red from the album. I would say red from the album, but either would be good. And I would put another button, like if you move this up a section, I'd put a button under that above your testimonials. Just making sure, and then another one above the video, like making sure that there's multiple buttons on the page so that if they miss it, they won't miss it. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. And I didn't reply with the time, but I'll make sure to do that. Oh, guys, I'm running out of time. How many more do I got? Okay, 3. I can totally do this. All right. Guy. You guys are so funny, you founders. So both Kitty Thompson and Guy Fjord are indie founders, which if you're not familiar with that program is our group coaching program. And they have private Facebook groups where they can message us. But Guy wants my feedback right now, which I want to give you, Guy. Okay, so let me put in the comments here. I'm trying to keep the habit in. I'm starting your audit around the 60-minute mark. All right. We all have stories. Here's mine. I like that. Hit the link. Bam. Hit the link to get my album Sentence for free. I like it. All right. So right now, I'm seeing 3 colors. Yep, I'm seeing 3 colors. If you get more than 3 colors, just kidding. We're going to talk about it. All right, so deep electronic dance music. That looks like the same purple. I like it. Oh, and that's all we got. Okay. These social buttons, what you doing with that? All right. So cool. I'm assuming this looks like your fan finder. So that's great. Brings in kind of that renewal. Join me every Saturday at 9 p.m. for an hour of original live dance music. That's cool. Okay. So when you're saying find me on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and VK, you're saying like that's where the live thing is happening. So I would say, view the live stream on your favorite channel, and then you have these, click below for your favorite or something like that. So it's a little bit more clear that this isn't just, oh, this is, the YouTube page or whatever. Like, so there's something a little more clear, or even like subscribe to be notified when I go live on Saturday, something like that. I am kind of distracted though, because this is different from what you're saying here. So I would say pick one. Do you want me to subscribe and come on Saturday, or do you want me to sign up for this thing? So, that's 2 cents. All right, good. So you got your pixel firing. I totally trust that you've already done this, and you're keeping the color scheme simple, buttons match. You're doing good, guy. Let me look at this other one. Oh, that is your sign up page. I read your mind. Yeah, I actually really like if you go white and black and you've got a little bit of a softer font, or even a little harder font than like Open Sans. I actually really fine with that. Who am I? I'm this guy. If this is a quote, I would put it in italics, or even if it's a quote from you, I would put this in italics and then credit it, even if it's you. That's my 2 cents there. But this looks good. I love this photo that you're able to bring it all the way over. Let me look at it on mobile real quick. Okay, so on mobile, it's no face, which is fine. It's not a big deal, right? Because it's not like I see a little bit of your face. Like, it doesn't necessarily look unintentional. So that's not a big deal. But depending on what you're using for this, let me look at the source code real quick. Depending on what you're using to build this, expand. Okay. Looks like it's either Dev or WordPress. Okay, you got pixel code in there. Great. Okay, so sorry, I'm distracted. I would change your responsiveness in this block and the 12 days 6 tracks for mobile. It looks like this is doing it properly. This might be a little big, and then this looks fine. So yeah, just be aware of mobile response, especially because a lot of your traffic is going to be mobile. It's just the world we live in, buddy. So make sure that mobile response is great. And I know that's hard for everybody, because typically, we're all building on computers. You're not building your website on a phone unless you're really awesome and know how to do that really well and no code. But otherwise, we always look at our websites on a wide screen. And so sometimes it can be really difficult for us to remember, like, oh, mobile, that's a thing. And, 75% of internet traffic is mobile. So you definitely want to make sure. And if you look at your ad placements, most of your clicks or whatever views are probably on mobile as well. So definitely concentrate on that mobile responsiveness. All right, Maria. I know I'm going over, guys. I just want to make sure that I'm getting all the folks. If I already answered your question, feel free to leave. I won't take it personally. If you're like, I gotta go. All right, so Maria, I'm starting. Wait, is this an audit? This is a question. All right. I'm not going to start Maria's question just yet. All right. Patrick. Let's put in Patrick. Hi, I'm starting your audit around the... Oops. Does anyone else type worse when someone's watching them? I do. All right. Did I type that twice? No. All right. Fake out. All right. Patrick. Hi, Corrin. My band's first fan finder video is a one-shot live performance video, just like recommended here on Indepreneur. Love that. It performed terribly with no comments, likes, and extremely few 75% viewers. Oh, man. Later, we did a quick and pretty ugly video. When we played to the studio, that video did like 10 times better. Okay, so let's take a look here. Do you have any idea why the first video performed that badly? I'm guessing because it's rock. That acoustic maybe ain't the way to go. Or that the song is too slow, or that our performance maybe wasn't good enough. Okay, so let me take a look here. How do I turn off all the sound? Sorry, my live stream audio is going over your there we go. Yeah, I would say, Patrick, it's not very exciting, you know? So that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a good match. And I see that there's more happening, and I'm sure that this is like progressive, like most acoustic rock performances are, where you kind of add layers as you go. But we got to get people's attention right off the bat. So I think that if you... Yeah, I'm just... Sorry, I'm trying to get a feel for the video without... Yeah, I don't think this... I mean, the performance isn't bad, right? So if that's what you're worried about, that's not what you should be worried about. I do think that the energy is a little lower. So this is probably a good follow-up video, right? Sometimes what we'll do is use basically some... we'll use a second video as a qualifier. So we'll send them through a fan finder that's, you know, maybe higher energy, has some pattern interrupt, right? And then we'll retarget 75% viewers of that video with something more like this, where you're like getting deeper in. And when you do that, you can use a lower percentage of consumption. You don't have to wait for 75% video views. That's the best. But if they already made it like 50% through a second 4-minute video, that's a pretty good qualifier to be like, all right, now they've seen me enough, right? They know multiple sides of my artistry because they saw like a full rock song and they saw an acoustic performance or whatever. And that gives them a little more depth about you. So you don't have to get to that 75% mark. So that's something to consider. That's a pivot. But yeah, I think this is probably just not high enough energy for people who are just learning about you. And chances are, I mean, I'm going to click through your stuff, but if you have mostly rock or hard rock, this isn't even really going to attract the right people for you anyway, right? Like if you don't have an acoustic album or an acoustic single, you know, this may not even get you the right people. So that's something to consider as well. I think it's beautifully shot. I don't think that it's a poor piece of content. I just think it might be something for people who are a little deeper in it with you. So yeah, that's something to consider. All right. So now yeah. So see how this has like a more candid kind of feel? It's not so produced. I love this. This is totally my vibe, man. This is my stuff. It's what I listen to the majority of the time. So yeah, I totally see. It's also like, because it's more in your face and it starts that way, it just kicks right off. And you've got these shots of all these band members. I think it has a lot of interest points, kind of these quick cuts. So I totally get why this would do better. So one thing that you could do, if you're like, oh, well, I'm not getting 75% video viewers. I mean, your songs are, you know, your videos are over 4 minutes. What was this one? This one was over 5 minutes. So no wonder you don't have a lot of 75% video views, because when we say 75% video views, we're talking about like 3-minute songs, right? So that's essentially, what's 3 minutes divided by 4? Ugh, it's so hard. 45 seconds times 3 is 1.5 and 215, right? So we're looking at like 215 to 230 in consumption. So for you with a 5-minute video, that's the 50% mark, right? That's totally different. So don't be discouraged. I would recommend, if this video is doing well, retarget people who have watched 50% of this one and feed them this one, because it's clearly the same people, right? You've got the cellist in there, which is one thing that really sticks out to me as something that's like, oh yeah, I saw these guys, and now look, there's this different, softer angle to them. So that's what I would recommend with this lineup. Like I said, this content is not something you need to throw away. It's just something that maybe shouldn't be your most forward-facing asset. You can retarget with it, or you can use it as like behind-the-scenes content or something that's more exclusive, that you don't feed out to as many people, if that makes sense. So that is my 2 cents on that. But overall, great job. I mean, I think both videos are actually, they look really great. You know, I think that you've done a great job with it. So don't get down on either of those things. All right, so I'm going to refresh the page to look for more audits, but I think we've reached the end. And for those of you who asked questions, I apologize that I could not get to those after the audits. I will put them down in a note for the Q&A host next week, which I'm not quite sure who that is. I think it might be Jack. I'm not sure. But I will make sure to copy all of your questions, and I'll post them in the comment on your behalf for the next audit session. Shane, separate from the purpose of this session, if time permits, it'd be cool if you could look at the latest video. All right, Shane, since you're in here, I'm gonna do that real quick because you've been talking to me. Yeah, this is what I saw on the website, right? What? I was not expecting that. Pepper, come see this. Pepper is our latest employee of Entrepreneur and our second woman.
Hey.
You're see.
Am I in this? No,
see, look. Well, you're not showing just yet. Let me look. Yeah.
Oh,
there.
hey.
Hey, there you are.
Everyone.
Look at this girl.
I love.
Holy crap. And so, like, this is.
Oh, wow.
So it's this music box, right? What is that for a pattern interrupt, right?
Yeah, that's great. Ooh.
Did it cover?
Mm-hmm. Is it mashed up with an original?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm not sure. Shane, is this mashed up with an original? The only thing I would say, Shane, from my perspective, is some of her treatment when she's obviously in front of the green screen, like here especially, which I know isn't a totally big deal and it's somewhat intentional, the lighting is so assertive on her and the backdrop doesn't reflect the same lighting. Like here, it looks like there's a little less sheen. So like black and white looks fine, but here she's so clearly popped in front of a green screen. So I would just say, like, if you are doing this yourself in Premiere, I would do a little bit of exposure and gamma adjustment just to try to help her. I mean, I know the back is really dark, but just to make her look a little less assertively in front of a green screen. Yeah, I wanted you to. I wanted you to see it. So, but the vibe of it is super cool. Cool enough that I had to bring Pepper over to see it. So I like that shot. Yeah, so here too, I would say great voice. I would say just bring the exposure down on her face a little bit. And her face won't pop so obviously in front of all of these cool graphics you've done. Yeah, I totally dig it. And I know you've got some more left there, but I'm gonna have to go for now. But I did want to give you some feedback since you're hanging out here. All right. So, yeah, that's all I got today, guys. Thanks for those of you who stuck around. Sorry for those Q&As that I did not get to. I will make sure that the host for next week knows that they're there, and, kind of prioritize up for you. I'll comment for you on the next watch page. But yeah, I've had a great time auditing your stuff. Always so motivated by looking at what all of our indies are doing. So, thanks so much for joining me. I hope you all have a great day. Keep shipping stuff. You guys are the ones who are taking action. I love it. All right, y'all. I'll see you next time. Bye.